All right, let's call the meeting to order. Tom, do you want to read the whatever?
Yep. So the city has determined that it is prudent and not practical to conduct an in-person city council meeting due to the local state of emergency and social distancing guidelines. Accordingly, this meeting will be held as an electronic meeting and conducted under Minnesota State Statute Section 13D.021. And to the extent practical, members of the public may attend the meeting by utilizing the published link and call-in information. If I take a look at participants we have in the meeting right now, I was just going to say if we have any general members of the public.
Yes.
Jean has been a regular participant. Jean, if you feel that I should go through the procedures for participation, could you raise your hand quickly, virtually? Okay, that being said, we'll move on.
All right. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. This is probably as much of a reminder for myself as anything, but got to do all votes via roll call. So any changes to the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Any motions to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt agenda.
Motion by Timmerman.
Second.
Second by Novak. Roll call. Josh.
Aye.
Don.
Aye.
Kate.
Aye.
Amanda.
Aye.
I'll vote aye as well. Agenda passes. We have no presentations, proclamations, or acknowledgements tonight. Is there anyone on that would like to speak under public comment?
We have Commissioner Wolf this evening.
He had a conflict, but he was going to try.
I do not see him on, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? All right, public comment is closed. On the consent agenda, anyone have any items they want to pull or discuss? Hearing none, anyone?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Motion by Timmerman.
Second.
Second by Seepersod. Kate.
Aye.
Amanda.
Aye.
Don.
Aye.
Josh.
Aye.
How about aye as well? Consent agenda passes. We have no public hearings tonight. We have nothing scheduled for general business, so we'll jump into reports.
So under administration, I have a couple items for council. The council had asked that we place as a regular item on the agenda for discussion our public meeting format. Basically so that we can respond as we move forward to changing protocols related to the COVID-19 pandemic. As with the last meeting, there really have been no notable changes with regards to guidelines with regards to meetings. So I'd be asking the council, do we want to continue status quo with virtual remote meetings, or do you want to be looking at making any changes?
I think you stay status quo.
You want to stay as we are?
Yep.
Okay, everyone is going that way, or at least the majority is. So I'm sure Josh, you don't have any objections.
You got a thumbs up.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
The next item was Legislative Policy Committee assignments. The council had asked that this be placed on the agenda for discussion, just to talk about who's going to be going to what. And then I had intended on future agendas under reports to add a Legislative Policy Committee update item as well. So at this point, just general council discussion for people to say, hey, I'm going to this, I'm going to that.
I don't remember what I told you.
I believe you're going to be looking at basically the municipal finance resources
fiscal
committee.
futures from leading Minnesota cities and municipal revenues from metro cities. The two I was going to say.
Does that conflict with anything you were looking to participate in, Josh?
I couldn't hear the part. I heard the fiscal stuff. There's no way I'm doing that. So that sounds good.
Those are both on both ends. Both fiscal.
All right. Well, you have fun with that. No, for Metro Cities, going to the Housing and Economic Development. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull them up. I have 3 on my calendar for next week. There was one more potentially for that one. It wasn't. Oh, it's Transportation and General Government for Metro Cities, and then local economies for the league. Those 3. I can't make service delivery, but I usually go to that one too.
Don or Kate, do you have
I,
this time?
if things get back to normal, then I'll look into it,
They're
but
not gonna get back
I'm in the same boat as you too.
Yeah.
I'm not able to. So
yeah, I just can't right now.
doesn't sound like we have any conflicts or anything, so we should be good there.
Okay,
Anything else?
so not under administration.
Were there any that are not covered that people feel strongly about someone attending?
All the other ones are boring. That's why I'm not going.
So the one thing I would ask of the council members, so I'll track it a little bit, and for something big that's coming up, there usually be word get around my peer circles that maybe participate, but I'd also be relying on both Josh and Amanda that if there's a big item that has a big impact, if they want backup, so to speak, they would notify me, so that also is. So.
Okay. Public Works.
Any questions?
I mean, did you have to make the water pink?
No,
Seriously?
it was bound to happen at some point in time. Luckily it's safe, and there's not really any real issues, and it's taken care of now. But it was a little freak out mode this morning.
Who tested the water this morning?
So with our skating system, we have, you look at your numbers every morning. Well, there was an alarm flashing that one of the tanks had low weight in it. So when I looked at it, I saw that it used way more than it should have. So I was hoping that when I ran up there, there was a leak on the floor. So it went into the system, did clear well. Basically, the way you can look at it is a gallon to 100,000 gallons of water. So basically, 1 gallon of this sodium permanganate mixed in with 100,000 gallons of water. But you can basically look at it as taking a dropper with a red dye in it in a 5-gallon bucket, drop it in there, and drink your tank. So everything is now taken care of. No issues, no complaints. So we're good now.
Did you get a lot of calls? Is there any way?
No, not a single call.
Is there any way of knowing how many homes it would have, or places it would have?
When we started flushing this morning, there was nothing on the main line that goes to New Market. And when we started flushing on the Elko side, there was nothing that they saw visually until the plant started pumping water out. So we caught most of it, but I mean, it would have been diluted so much in ways you're probably not going to see it. But, you know, had it been a Saturday morning when it happened, it would have been pretty bad. Because you would have seen it all weekend. It's now taken care of, no issues. It was a little freaked out mode this morning though. So, especially with the roundabout, trying to get around to the other side of town, shutdowns and flush hydrants.
Speaking of the roundabout, I don't know if this is necessarily a public works area. I'm not sure what area it would fall into, but you know, someone reached out to me and asked for a general update on the roundabout, and if there's if the city can like publish pictures or updates as to curbs going on, or that sort of thing. You always have great pictures, but I mean, is there anyone from the city that goes out there on a regular basis that could do that?
So we do have the Midwalkers who had volunteered as part of their community outreach. They are taking pictures of the aerials of the police department. They're also doing the roundabout. So we can show, we can see what we can provide for that. It's not like a daily or even necessarily like a weekly thing, but we can provide some updates. We could potentially provide it. The one downside when you're working on projects is you can say, hey, they're planning to do curb next week, and then something comes up and it doesn't.
Sure.
It doesn't happen.
That was just an example.
Yeah, but to be honest, I try to take pictures from ground level. You can't really see a lot because, especially right now, a lot of it's actually happening below ground level as they're working separate. So there really isn't any really super high grade vantage points to get good photos of that. So we can post aerials of the progress of the project.
Yeah, but even just that commentary. I mean, we're in week 4, whatever, of the project, something on Facebook or newsletter.
We could do some.
Here's what's been going on. Project is on schedule.
So every Thursday morning, there's a meeting there that we have about contractors. Little updates right now, they are sewer and water, they'll be out of there tomorrow. They have to move a hydrant out of the way, and all the underground utilities are done for water and storm. They're gonna start doing, they'll be grading next week. I think they're talking possibly curb July 27th-ish. So they're moving along all right. And then the street light guys, they're working on all that stuff. So it's going pretty good right now.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think, yeah, the person that brought that up to me, I thought it was a brilliant idea. It's something we all should be excited about, and everyone's curious about.
So not to duplicate efforts, the county does have a project website where they are putting pictures of progress and dates of when things are expected to be completed. So
something you can take stuff from that website and put it on ours.
I would suggest that we simply promote that it's out there.
Can we attach it to ours?
Well, we can put our Facebook post with the link, and on our website, we can have a project connection. We might go, if we don't have already, we can put a button on our front website where people can go. Because the other thing I don't want to get into is that we're providing any conflicting, duplicating or providing conflicting information for what is essentially a project as well.
No, but I like the city. I do like the city promoting it because it's a positive thing for our community and something we've worked on for years to try and get ahead. So I don't want to run from it and say it's not a county project. This was, well, it's technically a county project.
Not saying that, but at the same time, I also don't want to duplicate the efforts. Single on projects and things like that, generally, if the interest is truly, if it's promotional, that's different than if it's informational. It's informational, single point of contact, so it's preferable.
Yeah, I'm just thinking we should celebrate it. We should be careful to celebrate it and not be looking like we're referring to someone else.
The county is on their project website. They have project updates, and there is a couple of drone photos. They've only had 2 updates so far. One is actually dated tomorrow, July 10th. The 20 crews wrapping up storm solution, moving on to grading work, and then a couple of nice drone photos.
They're doing drone flight every 2 weeks, I believe.
If that could be something linked on our website, that'll be great.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Anything else, Corey?
Oh, thank you.
No, any questions for Corey? Okay. Police.
Good evening, Mayor. Couple of reports or notes in my report to draw attention to. I'll start since we're kind of on that topic. Detour information. Put in there a whole bunch of stats that I pulled. We've been doing our best, just working our tails off to spend as much time along that route as possible. And I think it shows in our efforts and in our traffic stops. We've done, in a normal month, we'll do of late around 100, 150 stops from June 15th. When it closed down to the end of the month, or in the month of June, we did 226 traffic stops. Officers gave 151 warnings, 64 citations. It shows that we're still education based, even though we're working there a ton. We're not trying to be punitive. We're trying to educate the public on the need for going slow and then getting back out on the detour route. Extra shifts, we've done 11 extra shifts in June. We've done more now. We've tailed them back. We hit it heavy at the beginning for the enforcement and education. And now we're scaling them back. We still want to keep a presence there. So we'll dial those back as we go on. It's important to me to ask at that point, while you're thinking about any questions about the detour or at all? Okay,
What are you still fielding calls? Are you still, I mean, what's
No. No, everything's really went down. Facebook chatter's down. It's really curtailed as far as the complaints and what my officers, I ask for updates. What they're seeing is consistently getting slower and less violations and less complaints about it. But people appreciate us there. People are still stopping by, giving us a thumbs up. Where we have identified issues, we're trying to work on those more and kind of really focus on where we're still seeing speeders and traffic information as long as we have speeders. All right, ATVs, what we talked about earlier, as of today, it's a little more than the number of my report. We have 172. These have also gone down. The 9 is June numbers. In July, it's gone down even more.
just to clarify for those that weren't part of the earlier conversation, when you say 172 permits?
172 permits, yeah, or 171. We're
Yeah.
issued 171. We're on 172. Incredible numbers, more than we ever predicted. We had to make another order, Haley had to make another order of the permits. But it really shows that, one, we have a lot of them. Two, our education enforcement is working. People are getting them. And with the calls going down, I think hitting it hard right away. In May, we had 15. June, we had 9. We're seeing less than that now. I think it shows that people are getting the word and being more responsible with it. We're still seeing kids, but not as much. Officer Brenton today, right now, is his last shift on field training. Moves into a shadow phase. He's going to be out there with another nighttime officer, Officer Hotelli, as his partner, but in a different squad. And they're going to be out there patrolling and be out there answering calls. So we're really looking forward to filling the gaps that were left when Melissa went part-time for us. So we're excited about that. He's very excited. And I talked to him today. He's really looking forward to when council gets back to normal, to doing a swearing ceremony and a badge pinning and everything, so his family can be here. So when that does happen, we'll schedule it on the first one. And he's very proud. He's getting off of there, off of field training. We're continuing our current COVID protocols. Nothing has changed there. Going over the police department, so we're talking about construction. If you've driven back there or looked back there, it is cruising along. We're on schedule that they set up. Right now the walls are up, roof decking's on. They're doing the roofing, the foam, and they're trying to make it watertight. They're doing the interior walls now that they think they'll be here at least through the end of next week, doing all the block walls. And then they're hoping to do the July 17th that week. They're hoping for the concrete floors. And then it can really get moving once they got that in there. Just any questions on the building? Just want to make a highlight of our calls over the last month. Very interesting if you saw that in there. Anytime I've seen it in my career where we have a huge societal effect on a police call and rioting and everything, it really brings down calls. People seem to think that maybe my problems aren't worth the police time, and we saw a huge 60% drop in calls from the year before.
Tom Super is by your.
I don't realize what I said. It's funny, maybe.
No, I was advised by the city engineer that he's yielding his time to the chief of police.
Oh, all right.
Already, so.
People get a sense that we don't need to hear their problems, or that their problems aren't worth giving us a call for, so our calls go down. It'll bounce back up. I think it's a temporary thing. It happened during 9/11. It happened with our other police protest issues that we had, like with Castile and Jamal Park and those type of things. It's amazing though. Today, I'll just make mention we got an incredible care package delivered from the New Market Bank systems they delivered to the 3 police departments that they have office branches. It was an amazing gesture of goodwill, super appreciative. The thing had to weigh 25 pounds and have, you know, well over $150 worth of all different things. Bottled water, energy drink, nuts, chips, protein bars, granola bars, things that we use in our squad, hand sanitizer, gum, just amazing. So we appreciate that. I got a picture, we'll get it out on Facebook here. It continues. They're one of many that have been dropping gifts off for us. So we're truly appreciative for our community and our citizens. We just, the outpouring is incredible. I can't say enough how much we appreciate it. So thank you to the New Market Bank, anybody that may be listening. We appreciate it a ton. With that being said, Tom, did I miss anything that we were?
Cancellation of 19.
Yes, thank you. That didn't make it on my list here. I forgot that one. So the National Organization of Night to Unite has pushed their official date back to October. Now it's always the second Tuesday in August. Better weather, stable weather. We love this. It's an incredible opportunity for us to connect to the community. The national organization themselves recognize that it's still too early to have it in August, so they pushed it back into October. We made a decision, and I polled all the police chiefs in the county, and a majority of them are canceling their involvement with the activities. We just cannot go from party to party to party and participate and be with our community like how we want to in this fashion. It makes it too dangerous. It's too hands-on. Kids in the cars, kids touching everything, parents looking at all the equipment, handing out stickers, close proximity. We just can't willingly do that, and it kills us. But we're just gonna have to cancel it this year. Add it to the list of all the other things that have been canceled. But I just don't feel it's appropriate to do that, to bounce around and sanction that activity. I believe the fire department's going to do the same thing. You know, they would love to, and we'd love to just do drive-bys, but even that is just too much. And it's too hard for us to drive by and just drive away from people and not say hi and stop and shake hands and eat food and everything else at all the parties. So we had to cancel that.
Sorry to hear that.
Thing is, you know, we have other things in the work that will reveal to try to make up for it next year.
So I have no doubts. Anyone have any questions for the chief?
So I do have a quick video, council. We
Okay.
have been taking progress pictures of the police department. And I just did a quick compilation of those just for reference. I thought the council might find it of interest.
Sure.
These are the aerial photos.
Do you have music to this?
I do not. This is what you get in 15 minutes. This is a 15-minute video. You can see just from this work that a lot of the work really was underground foundation utility work, because once you get to the wall section, it goes really, really quick. That's where we are today.
That's pretty cool.
This is what you get in 15 minutes, Mr. Mayor. You need a little more time. Okay.
All right. Okay, moving on. Fire. I'm assuming nothing for fire.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Engineering. Our engineers already yielded his time to our police chief. Are you sure you don't have anything else, Rich?
I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I have no remarks for you.
packets where he did provide way more pieces of paper today in the packet, so maybe that's what we can.
That's fantastic. All right, community development.
We have been working hard the last couple of weeks to try to move some developments forward that had maybe been stagnant or had some erosion control issues going on. We feel good about the conversations that we've had with developers and at least one that had been not moving along very well, putting it at a higher priority. And we did decide to issue one building permit in the Boulder Heights development based on the work that we've seen progress over the last 2 weeks. So we're excited about that. There's still a lot of work to finish, but we're happy about the progress. Haley and I will have some more to report regarding the comp plan at the next meeting. We're going to be starting to wrap up adjacent jurisdiction comments and public comments over the next several weeks. So we'll provide you a schedule of events at the next meeting. And then just a quick tidbit in case Tom didn't update you, he most likely did, but there was a couple of grant programs available that we thought would be a good fit for our local businesses. So we tried to go out and visit and drop the literature off at each of the businesses so much as we could, or contact the businesses that were open over the last few weeks. So hopefully we'll get some results of that.
Did you happen to see the thank you on Facebook?
It was a shout out.
It was a shout out from Triage Wellness, thanking you for taking the time to come in and bring them the information. So yeah, good job. You guys did great.
Yeah, that was outstanding.
Do you have any questions?
Also like to talk to the council about potential joint meetings related to the housing strategies discussion with the planning commission. So in the past, we have tried to hold joint meetings on maybe more nebulous items where it would be beneficial to have the planning commission having the discussion at the same time with the council rather than a more segregated process, so to speak. And also as an opportunity, honestly, to develop stronger working relationship between them and connectivity between the planning commission and council, because you don't always get to see them and vice versa. We have tried this in the past. However, to be perfectly blunt, it's been highly unsuccessful because it's been hard to get planning commissioners outside their regular meeting night, and it's been difficult to get the council or the majority of the council or commission outside of the council's meeting. So the question is this something that you want to try and pursue? Now, in a very structured environment, you did send this back to the planning commission, they would review it, they would send recommendations onto you, and you discuss it. But sometimes there's a benefit to meeting jointly. Is this something that you want to try and pursue? But I would ask that if you're doing it, we would be looking for people to make themselves available outside of regular meeting. So we'd ask the same from the planning commission.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I still would like to say the concern that we discussed a little bit internally about it. We have the planning commission in a room. Thoughts are free flowing. When they get in a room with you, they're a little more subdued about offering their opinions. So I want to be aware of that before other big policy items that we're going to be discussing.
So that's a point. And in our careers as city staff, you can sit here and say, no, that's not the case, or we're good. It is the absolute truth. If you put your boss in the room, you behave differently than when you're working independently. If the CEO comes down to your committee meeting, you're going to behave differently than you would have if he wasn't in the room. So regardless of how well you may know them personally or not, or how you feel the relationship should be, I have had council like, no, but that's the reality. What happens is the council, they're the people that talk at them. So
are we thinking it's not going to be very productive to put all of us together?
It's arguments can be made both
Yeah, I
ways.
think arguments can be made both ways. It might be more productive, or it could be less productive on the planning commission.
I'd still like to try it.
Yeah.
I would do everything possible to try and have a good free-flowing conversation and get the commission involved.
I think it would be cool to try it just so that they know, we're human beings just like they are.
Right.
So let's just have an open conversation and try to nail it down in one meeting, then going back and forth and back and forth. So,
Well, I guess our intention, and Haley can chime in here, is Haley's done a lot of research on one of the key topics called accessory dwelling units. It's like a mother-in-law apartment, and whether we would permit something like that. And we were planning to present that to the planning commission already in at the June or July planning commission meeting at the end of the month. I think it's on the 28th. So if we need to readjust our schedule, we should that.
I mean, I could come here for a meeting on the 28th.
I can come here on the 28th for a meeting.
Yeah.
Josh?
So is that
Well,
the agenda?
I got a question for you. I mean, yes, I'm looking at my calendar right now. I mean, I'm available on the 28th. I guess my question is there a purpose or a valid reason to keep these two entities separate, almost so that, I mean, they push us to think different. I mean, what I would hate to see is you get strong personalities or people that don't shut up or whatever, i.e. I'm talking about myself, that then want to bias or could potentially bias, the way that they think. And then do we run the risk of putting them in a box unintentionally so that they stop thinking as a separate entity and bring forth ideas?
I think it's something we should be cognizant of.
Yeah.
But I would say, and the question is probably more directed to staff, at least my opinion. That's kind of, we need to be aware of that in our role in the room and not overstep that. But I don't know, what do you get with staff?
I think it to a large degree does depend on the personality. So if you have strong commissioners that are kind of immune to it, it can be a highly productive conversation. But more often than not, in my experience, if you think of it this way, if the people that are ultimately making the decision or they're actively discussing it, then what's your role? I mean, if you kind of think of that way, and sometimes commissioners do that. Now, I can tell you right now that we have a great group of commissioners who are very interactive and generally not afraid, so to speak, to engage in the conversation. But we also have a lot of commissioners that are also relatively new commissioners, and that may play into the respect. I'm gonna have to defer as to how the dynamics might be to our community development staff. They've worked much more with the current commission than I am. So,
Have you posed this question to the planning commission yet to see what their initial reaction is to it? No.
We haven't. I think I'd begin with a discussion with the chair maybe and see what kind of feedback would be.
Yeah, I just have one comment, and my perspective is going to be a little bit different because I have not as much experience as these two. But with these topics specifically, I think there is sort of an opportunity to do like a combination of a joint to start and then still split it back and get a recommendation from the planning commission. Because a lot of the introduction into these topics is going to be informational. And so it's really just getting that grasp of, are we even interested in pursuing this? And so that potentially could be where our joint meeting starts. And then once we get down into the nitty gritty or the specifics, it goes back to the planning commission with a recommendation to the council.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's a good idea.
I think that makes a good point because as we talked today, we don't see this process as we're going to talk to the planning commission about accessory dwelling units one time and then city council one time. These are major policy issues. We think it's going to take time to work through.
That was kind of my thought when I brought this up when we were meeting the other day. And I was just, if staff's going to give the same presentation to both,
Twice,
why don't we just meet
Sure.
together?
Well, we could notice, then if you don't mind us planning to notice a city council meeting on the planning commission date or the joint meeting on.
Do you want to check with the chair first and just make sure she doesn't have any objections? I mean, I don't want to overstep or step on their shoes either.
no, when we've had feedback from commissioners in the past, it's been when we've had like a land use application item coming through,
right,
and you have a large council presence in the meeting. We have gotten feedback in the past that either stifled conversation or made them feel like the pressure or the council didn't trust them, whatever it was, but it's having a boss in the room, so to speak. But what we're talking about, if this is an informational meeting and it's gonna be more of a free-flowing initial discussion, I don't think that's gonna be the case. The feel will be different than an action item.
It's almost a workshop.
It is, yeah.
Alright, so July 28th. You'll send out a invite.
Yes,
Are they meeting here?
Yes. yes.
Did they do any of it remotely?
They do their meetings remotely, so this will be your meeting.
Oh, so some of us will be here just,
Or maybe we all just do it.
Well, again, we are technically exempt from that, so we can invite those who want to participate in person and the rest can participate remotely. What has been your experience? Do they all participate remotely?
Yes.
So that's the other thing to keep in mind is just the current environment that we're in.
Why don't you guys talk to the chair, just, I mean, I don't see that we're being obtuse about anything. It would be accountable. So,
if they feel that, yeah, they would like us to be there, then shoot us an invite.
Okay.
Look easy.
Will we have a list? Yeah, I assume there's been a topic list prior to prep and review and stuff like that.
Yeah, a memo will be prepared and sent out ahead of time, so if we do end up doing a joint meeting, you will get that information.
you guys, Parks. I saw Mark on earlier.
Yep, I didn't see him. I just looked for him. He's not here.
Okay.
I can tell you that there's the regular update. If there's any questions on that, just let me know. I'll get a response from Mark. The other item is he did want to point out, I'd already provided a previous update to the council, was the Wagner Park Scout project, including the service flags and the landscaping. So Mark wanted to be make sure the council was fully aware of that.
Okay.
Did everybody get the picture? Or was that just?
Yes, the pictures are in, yeah.
All right. CCEC.
On the 14th, Tuesday.
Okay. Other committee reports, scale, no July meeting, but, literally we just decided this like an hour ago via email during the meeting, but we are going to have the August meetings remotely again. We had talked about going back to in-person meetings, but that if you have kids in school or if you're connected to people with kids in school, it should be an interesting scale meeting in August. And I'll talk a little bit more about that next council meeting, but yeah, the idea that we're going to have superintendents from the schools within the county kind of talk about their plans for back to school in the fall. So it should be interesting. Service delivery.
Service delivery, the upcoming topics is going to relate to CARES Act dollars, the funding that we approved the certification for tonight. Kind of a couple facets to it. One, just kind of, hey, what's everybody planning to use their money for? And kind of a discussion about eligible expenses and how everybody's going to be utilizing it to the degree that they know. And then the other aspect of it is talking about its use for business and business programs, which is one of the eligible uses you recall. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more in service delivery. And so when we bring that topic back for council discussion, which we will right now, it's tentatively planned for the first meeting in August, we'll be able to talk a little bit about what the Giants can do when we do that.
I'm going to get some Unified Transit Plan.
They still on hiatus.
MBTA.
Next meeting's July 29th.
Okay. I-35.
Meeting was this morning. We passed the budget proposal that we had put together. So no changes for Elko New Market. And then revised the joint powers agreement that's done once a decade. So I will be, well, Tom, you're on those emails probably. So you'll see an email coming from Rob or someone to have that re-signed by us as the city to approve that before the end of the year is the timeline. So that's that.
Chamber of Commerce Okay, on the discussion by council. Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
so motion by Novak,
Second.
second by Timmerman. Josh, you go first.
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
Amanda.
Aye.
I'll vote aye as well. Meeting is adjourned.